Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the International Coaches Roundtable Podcast. This week, you are with co-hosts Sasha and Elia as they interview our special guest, Seth Rotman. Seth is a transformational nurse and wellness coach who works in the corporate field along with individuals to establish a culture of wellness and support throughout. Now, Seth was a nurse in some of the most heavily impacted areas during COVID and brings a wealth of knowledge, so you're going to want to check this one out. All right. We'll catch you at the table.
Welcome to International Coaches Roundtable. I am your host, Sasha. I am a productivity and mindset coach. And today I am co-hosting with one of my favorite people, Elia, and we are having a conversation with Seth. He is a transformational nurse coach, and I'm actually going to pass this over to Elia to have him introduce him a little bit more.
Yeah, as Sasha said, my name is Elia. I am a men's life coach. I do a lot of work around shadow work and integrating the self and how to stop disintegrating practices. Today, though, we get to hear a lot more from Seth, who, as Sasha noted, is a transformational nurse coach, but also a transformational wellness coach. So Seth seems to have his hand in a lot of amazing work right now that we're really excited to hear about. There's stuff at the corporate level. There's stuff at the business leadership level. There's stuff going on for the individual. There's a lot going on. And Seth has been a nurse for the past 12 years. So he has been in high-paced, high-stress situations. And so his focus on burnout and how to better equip yourself to navigate those places. I mean, Seth, that's exactly why you're here. So Seth Rotman, can you go ahead and just give us a little bit about you and how your journey's gone so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, hi, I'm thrilled to be here. So yeah, you know that for the past 12 years, I have been a nurse, still am a nurse. It's one of those things that I don't think you ever stop being. I've yet to meet an actually retired nurse.
Yeah, like once a Marine, always a Marine. It's pretty similar, I feel like. Especially for all of you nurses who somehow survived through COVID. Oh my gosh, you're always that, right? You're always,
Exactly. And I mean, you just touched on a big piece of how I became a coach. It was because of COVID. I've been in nursing for those 12 years. I was so excited to get into nursing, especially. It would be a lie to say that nursing school was great because they are brutal to you while you're in nursing school.
Fair enough. I want some equipped nurses, right?
Yeah. But going through nursing school, I was really passionate about nursing. They sell you this whole bill about how holistic the level of care is in nursing while you're there. And when I was in school, right before I hit the field, things weren't so bad in the nursing field. And then I hit the ground running. That's when things in healthcare kind of started to go downhill. As I was in it, it wasn't so bad. The longer I've been in it, the worse things have gotten. The healthcare system has gotten more and more broken. Nursing has gotten more and more broken, all the way from the educational level through the administrative and bedside. And then COVID just completely destroyed it. COVID was bad. COVID was really bad. I was already dancing around the edges of being burnt out, looking for something else to do, not necessarily because I was so done with bedside, but I knew that I couldn't be at the bedside forever. That is a very physical job, and I've got enough old injuries that I knew that I couldn't just keep doing that until I retired. So I had already started looking for other things to do. I had started a nurse practitioner program and thought that that was my way forward, to a better way to help people, better way to keep doing something that I loved. Except while I was working on that program, I realized it was really more the same. It was just as broken, but you had to deal with insurance coding and you had prescribing power, but that was it. It was just more of the same. And then going through the thick of COVID, dealt with a lot.
I can imagine that it was probably not just even the physical stuff that you were dealing with, but I can only imagine some of the emotional things that you had to go through as well, just being in that situation as a nurse and watching the system be broken and how many people were, sick at that time, right?
So, I mean, my pauses here are trying to kind of consider, what exactly to say.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
But-
We mentioned in the pre-show kind of conversation, I was in a conversation with a nurse last night. I've got 3 nurses in my extended family.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the stories that I've heard in the midst of COVID are horrific. I mean, absolutely horrific, where, and so I appreciate you trying to at least be sensitive to that. But I want you to know, at the very least, we know.
I appreciate that. So going through everything that pretty much anyone who knows anyone in healthcare or read anything about how it was at its worst, going through that basically unsupported by any kind of administration, at the hospital level, not having equipment, and the hospital I was at was one of the worst hit. We had an entire 9-floor tower that was filled beyond capacity from the lobby to the top floor. They converted every single area to COVID care. And that's outpatient, administrative areas. Everything became a COVID care area. It was inpatient COVID care at that point. So we were stretched pretty thin. We didn't have the resources. We didn't have equipment. And, we weren't built for this. We weren't prepared for this. We weren't ready for basically battlefield medicine. And you can only handle seeing so much death on a daily basis and so many alarms going off. I personally dealt with a fair bit of depression and PTSD from the experience, which that was my journey to address and deal with, which I have. Has been fantastic to come out on the other side of that, but it changes you. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to give back, which also brings me to the coaching side, because at that point that let me really know I am not able to stay at the bedside, but I am not done with nursing. It really shone that light for me. Like, I really love being able to provide that nursing type care for people, but I don't want to give up on it. I truly want to provide that holistic care and actually help people find their wellness. And I found a program that actually is designed for nurses to become certified coaches within the nursing field.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to say, I don't really even know how to say this in a way that truly expresses how I feel. But I just have so much gratitude, for, people like you who, went through that time and didn't have a lot of support, given to you. And while we were all staying home, looking at our phones and ordering out, that was me, there were amazing people out there who are putting themselves in a situation like you, to risk their own lives just to help other people. So I just love that we have you as a guest, today, to be able to talk to you about your journey, because the fact that you are still into trying to make a difference to other people, respecting also your own, boundaries and honoring yourself, I think that's fantastic. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much.
Well, yes.
Seth, I'm curious, because you mentioned a couple things in your story there in being able to discover this coaching program, be able to get certified as a transformational nurse coach. And you mentioned a lack of support in general. You kind of mentioned that it felt like battlefield medicine.
Sure.
Sort of whatever's in front of you, those are the resources available, and this has to work. It has to work. And I think that's just a tough spot to be in. And you mentioned that your corporate work is around how do you create a sort of leadership mindset, coaching mentality. And I know I used a lot of words. I want to hear from your mouth, right? What you're trying to bring into those places, because it sounds like not only was there, you have this individual journey, but there was a whole systemic kind of thing going on that, you know, outside of the medicinal, but the structural component of healthcare that seems to need some adjustment.
You just nailed it, I think, without even realizing it. Is what I'm bringing is the systemic change that is needed. It is not so much focused on, you know, the leadership process or being a better leader, or, you know, how do you become a stronger corporate structure. If you want that, if you want to be a better CEO, there are plenty of other executive coaches out there that'll charge you $800, $1,000 an hour to go work with you one-on-one for that. That's a whole different type of coaching. That's not what I do, right? I bring that same holistic approach that I bring to my one-on-one coaching to that same corporate structure. And I bring it from the bottom up and the top down. So I create a shared experience in that corporate setting. And it works really well in healthcare. It works really well in just a basic industrial setting, where it's not only going in and doing coaching with employees, but it's teaching that coaching mindset of how do you support each other and make sure that you are ensuring that whoever you are working with and whoever you are interacting with is having their needs met, and not just saying, what do you need, but meeting them where they are and saying, how can I best support you? Because when you go up, when you go to someone who's already kind of in crisis or already hurting, and you say, what do you need? It's putting that pressure back on them. When you say, how can I best support you? It's meeting them where they are. So it takes that pressure off. And now if you have everyone meeting everyone where they are, everyone's happier, everyone's healthier, everyone is encouraging to be their best selves. Now you have a happier, healthier workforce that can actually meet the goals of their jobs rather than being focused on being burnt out. That's at the bottom. When you actually create that shift at the top, because if you do that, if I do all that work and I don't work with anyone at the C-suite and they don't care, as soon as I'm done and they stop paying, all that goes out the window anyway, right?
Yeah, what do they say? Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Exactly.
Right? Isn't that? Yeah.
That's good.
So
I've never heard that.
So it's creating that same culture and implementing that same strategy and creating that same culture shift from the top, making sure that all the executives create that shift, everyone is on board and everyone buys in, and that everything changes. And it allows for measurable metric shifts, because as a nurse, I care about metrics. It's not just like I care about wellness. I care about health. I care about people being happier and finding more joy. That is where I am really happy. But if I can't put numbers to it and I can't prove it, where can I go?
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I think for so many people, the metric piece is where they start to feel there's like something about it where it's almost like inauthentic or disingenuous, or like, especially when you're talking about personal transformation or like personal development, there's something weird where you throw numbers in there and now it's the man, like it's corporate, but the results matter. Like the results matter.
Results matter. And this is kind of why I love doing things the way I do it and bringing the nursing piece in, because all the aspects that I bring in, like I said, you can't stop being a nurse. I can't stop caring about people's health, people's wellness, but I also can't stop caring about things being evidence-based. I'm not going to go out and tell everyone to buy a crystal and, wear it on top of their head because it's going to make them happier. I have no way to back that up. If someone wants to go and get a crystal and it makes them happier, great. That's their personal goal. I'm not going to tell them not to. I'm not going to say it because I have no way to back it up. Everything that I bring is based in evidence and best practice. My entire practice is based in evidence and best practice techniques.
And that I think is so valuable. Sorry, Sasha, I saw you were answering or saying a thing and I cut you off. But
that's okay. No, that's
apparently
totally
I'm gonna keep going. That idea of evidence-based is so vital, because I think I'm with you in that there's this sometimes sense of we can take something that feels right, that looks right maybe, and we're hearing that it's right, and we can try it for ourselves and it may not work, and we then can somehow put that pressure back on us as if we didn't try hard enough. And use the example of, say, crystals. That's a modality that does not work for me. It just doesn't. And somebody out there may be screaming into their phone right now, yes, it does. You didn't do it right. I'm sure I didn't do it right. However, the way my brain and my personality is wired, that it creates too much resistance into something like that. I want to see that, for me, that evidence-based piece.
Sure.
Because if that's how it's going to work for me, that's awesome. Sasha, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, everybody is different, right? Everybody internalizes things differently, and different experiences that we go through, or even techniques that we try, can, benefit us, or they may not. And so to me, it's like finding the balance between the numbers and the human being. Like, what I mean by that, it sounds like, Seth, is that, firsthand that working in a hospital nursing field, that there are times when people don't have any bedside manners at all. And then people start feeling like a number,
Exactly.
And so that might be one of the reasons why people kind of tend to turn away when you look at metrics. But the thing is if you can combine the two, you can combine the metrics with the personality, with the care, that balance is going to give like a whole picture, it sounds like.
Exactly. And, that whole balance, that individualized approach, that's wellness. When you're only looking at numbers, that's health. Health is numbers. It either is or it isn't. It's, if you are healthy, you have the absence of disease and injury. It's black and white. Wellness is personalized. You've got 8 dimensions of wellness, and it's where do you fall that you are happy and comfortable within the spectrum of each of those dimensions. So not everyone has to be at 100% in every area of their life. It's where are you comfortable? And that's also why so many people fail on so many regimens from their doctors, right? You go in, you need to make a change, and your doctor says, eat this, don't eat that, take this pill, period. And most people's response is, I don't want to, so they don't. And then they end up in the hospital. So, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
So just point to yourself. Right. So this is where the transformative health and wellness coaching approach comes in. It is that co-creation of goals. It is meeting you where you're at. What steps do you want to take? What do you actually want to achieve? And what is reasonable for you?
Yeah.
Let's get you there. Okay, now what do you want to achieve now that you've achieved that first step?
Yeah.
It's incremental. And what makes it, this is where that term transformational in the title is essential. It's because it is long-lasting, meaningful change. It is coming from that deep and inside, and it is long-lasting. It's not a fad diet. It's not a pill. It's not something that just, comes and goes. These are changes that you're making changes to your lifestyle. You're realizing who you are at a deep personal level. These are meaningful, deep changes that will stay with you forever.
Want to think, so what you're describing is it just that transformative piece, where this is at your core level about who you are, what you care about, what you value, how you invest your time and spread yourself thin when necessary, and how do you rest when necessary, so on and so forth, right? that whole piece,
Exactly.
it's interesting as we try to communicate about, okay, the work that you're doing. When you're trying to share with people about the work that you're doing, we live in a TikTok world, right?
Right.
And that in of itself undermines a person or a potential client's ability to even engage with the stuff you're offering, because you're going, this isn't quick.
It's
This is a
not.
process. This is a journey. And so I'm sure that there's tactics, kind of like practices that you have kind of in your, in your tool belt there that you can just toss out and say, hey, give this a go. You're going to see a step forward here in the next 12 to 24 hours or something like that. I'm curious, can you share a couple of those things? Because I feel like you've got this wealth of knowledge I want to tap into. So I'm curious if there's this a little bit of something that you can throw our way.
The big things that I use, especially as a cornerstone for my practice for this kind of thing, are mindfulness based and breath based, because that's really where change starts. It starts with breath. It starts with mindfulness, and also just understanding what mindfulness is. It's not some big magic difficult thing to understand. It's awareness and intention. It's that simple. Intention and awareness, awareness and intention. So if you can just bring it down to that simple level and slow yourself down, mindfulness of breath, being aware of your breathing, being intentional about how you're breathing, how deeply, your rate of breath, it slows you down. It brings you into the moment. Being in the moment, being mindful, being in the present. That all brings you back to now. This is where people start to make themselves miserable. So everyone always looks down the road. I want to get there. I want the destination. There's always another destination. If you're always looking towards the destination, you're going to make yourself miserable, because you can't appreciate where you are, and you can't appreciate the progress you're making. Even if you're taking one step forward, that's a victory. 2 steps forward, victory. But if you're looking 5 miles down the road, you're not going to notice those 2 steps that you just took. But if you're being mindful, you notice that you have now made progress.
So I just want to say something really quick. I first of all love it when someone talks about mindfulness. I swear, even just the words like be mindful or take a moment in the moment right now to be mindful of your breath. I swear it like slows me down right there and then. So just now while I was listening to you, I tapped in and tuned in to my own breath, into my own feelings of the moment. And I appreciate that. I do want to ask, you said that you work kind of with the top and the bottom corporate wise, right?
Yes.
So what does that look like for you? Do you go into into a corporate office and you sit down with these corporate leaders in a group? Like, what is your intention? Do you sit down with, the one-on-one individuals at the lower level? Do you combine the two? So how does that look for you?
My approach is both and with all of that. It's usually it's a 1-year approach. Ideally, it can be done in a shorter period of time, but to really create that full change, especially depending on the size, it's a 1-year approach, and broken out into 16-week intervals, going from kind of those lower level workers first, meeting with them in group coaching sessions, then meeting with middle management, then meeting with a mix of whoever middle management is overseeing and those original workers, and then meeting with higher level of executives and the C-level. and then in the final phase, doing the final analysis. But all of it is doing group coaching and then being available for one-on-one kind of shorter follow-up sessions as needed for anyone who needs it.
That sounds
Cool.
massively powerful. The fact that you're
Yeah.
kind of going into an entire culture, you're saying, okay, I'm going to meet you at every layer. We're going to get intense at every step of the way. And then you're also you're available and a participant in caring for the individual through that process. That's exhaustive, potentially exhausting. I'm curious for, you know, whether you're engaging in that, you're engaging in other forms of your work. You know, you talked about the burnout that was so present in COVID. You know, I can imagine I'm getting stressed thinking about doing this process, right? So you clearly have things that you're doing that you give to individual clients around burnout and how to manage that. Talk to us a bit about burnout. Talk to us a bit about what we can do to avoid that. Talk to us a bit about, burnout.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So burnout is so prevalent across so many fields, right? And it sneaks up on us. It's one of those things that you may not even realize you're getting burned out until you hit that point where you're ready to flip a table and you're done and you don't even know, where to turn for help. And that's a problem. This is where self-care is so important. And I make a point to talk with my clients about real versus performative self-care, because so many people don't recognize the difference. Real self-care, getting into that's that self-care that it is meaningful for you. It doesn't matter what it is. Those are the activities that you do that truly fill your cup. They make you feel fulfilled. They make you feel rested. They make you experience joy. It could be hiking. It could be getting outside. It could be going to the gym. It could be all of those things that we know that we're supposed to do. Eating healthier, going to that yoga class, running for 30 minutes a day. It might not be those things, though. If you are going to the gym and making yourself run and you are absolutely miserable and you feel more exhausted because it is draining you and you are dragging yourself through that run, that is the wrong activity for you. If you're showing up for yoga and you're more worried about, are you Instagram ready? Are your Lululemon leggings, absolutely perfect? And is everyone looking at you? You're not actually there for any meditative purpose. You are there to be looked at. Are you going out and spending time with friends, but it is actually emotionally draining you? That's all performative. That's draining you and not doing anything to actually restore you. And then that comes back to taking that further step back. Once you realize the difference between the two of what are your actual values, doing those values exercises, figuring out what those core values are, and then figuring out what are those self-care activities that actually meet your values.
Absolutely.
Seth, you are speaking my language. That is so exciting to hear.
Yes.
The
And
idea
also,
that performative rest versus actual rest. Man.
Yes.
I love that. I love it too. And actually, for myself and what I try to teach my clients is that, it doesn't matter what you do, it's the intention behind what you do. So if you want to wear the Lululemon leggings to the gym because it makes you feel awesome, then by all means do that, but if the intention is just for the TikTok video that you are looking to make, then maybe you are going to feel exhausted afterwards, and that's going to be your sign that maybe you need to switch up the activity. So yeah, I feel it. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not criticizing the leggings. I'm not criticizing any of that. If it fills your cup, if it makes you feel great, if you feel happy and energized afterwards, great. That is for you.
Absolutely.
But if
Right.
it's draining, no.
Yeah. Well, it's
Exactly.
funny that sounds, it's right up the alley of the stuff that I try to bring to the table. It's like kind of step one conversations with people where you're saying, is this bringing you back together, or is this sort of pulling you apart? And at what point are you being in line with your behavior, and at what point is your behavior disaligning or disintegrating you as a person? And yeah, that, I think you absolutely nailed that, Seth. I really appreciate that. Sasha,
Yeah.
I wanted, we got to be mindful of time here, Seth. We want to
Yes.
honor your time.
Sure.
So Sasha, did you have another question? Are we good to go? Because I want to make sure we can
Well,
get, like I said, we got a wealth of knowledge just floating on the screen right now.
I know. A lot of these conversations that we have, I feel like could just go on and on. So it's really hard to know, exactly when the time's up, because a lot of the time I don't even keep track. But yes, we only have about 10 minutes. I do want to ask you, Seth, if you could tell the listeners, the audience, just one tool or technique to take with them into next week, just to try, what would be your all-time favorite tool or technique to give out to them to give a try?
My all-time favorite tool is kind of a strange one, but
we're here for it. Please. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is one that I honestly have no idea where it comes from. It was given to me, and the person who gave it to me, I asked them about it. They don't even remember where they got it from, but it is an incredibly effective relaxation technique. It is, as far as I know, it's just called a deep breath eye roll technique. Yes. I'm happy to share this. Again,
yeah.
All right, so this is where I diverge from, evidence-based blah blah blah.
Yeah, this stuff just works.
Yeah, this one falls under it just works. I don't know why. I can't tell you what it relates to. I have no clinical evidence whatsoever.
Okay.
Other than it does. So what you do with this one, you start by looking up at the middle of your forehead and keep your eyes rolled all the way up.
Okay, so we're doing this. If you're listening right now, you're doing this. All right, unless you're driving, you're doing this.
If you are driving, please do not do this. Don't do this technique while you are driving.
I swear, one of these days during these podcasts, we're gonna get I don't even know,
yeah, it's gonna be terrible, but it's totally fine. For right now, it's awesome.
Okay. So this is always my disclaimer for this technique. Don't do it while you're driving, ever.
Exactly. We're saved. We're good. Okay.
Set eyes to the center of the forehead. You're saying, try to look up to the.
So
is that
right? So you're gonna look up. You roll your eyes. Look at the center of your forehead.
With our eyes open.
With your eyes open to start.
Okay. This is gonna look real weird.
It is.
Cool. Okay.
You take a deep breath in through your nose. Keep looking up. Close your eyes. Keep looking up. And as you exhale through your mouth, roll your eyes, look all the way down at your toes. Ellie, you're making a face at that one.
I feel dizzy.
She's like about to fall over.
It feels cool.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate that was helpful, because that seems so bizarre and weird, and I don't want to be like, yeah, that was great. No, this is good.
Yeah,
I hate that one works so well too, because it's one breath and everything just drops off of you.
Oh, I'm gonna try that again. I feel like for me it was good, but it did make me dizzy, and I think the only reason why is because I was thinking too much about it. I think I was in my head too much.
So I'll walk you through it without actually doing it, so it doesn't take as long. So look up at the middle of your forehead.
Do you want me to do this?
Yeah, I want you to do it.
Okay. Oh God. Okay.
Take a deep breath in through your nose. Keep looking up and close your eyes. Exhale through your mouth. Look down all the way at your toes.
With my eyes closed, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It almost felt like a wave of like a wave came over me or something.
That's exactly it. That's exactly the feeling that you get from it.
Cool.
And that, again, I don't know why it works. I don't know why it's so effective, but when your stress level's up, you do this technique, deep breath, eye roll, and all of a sudden it just drops you.
Wow, that's neat. I want to do it again. I'm going to do it right after this. Actually, I have another recording I need to do. So I'm going to like do it in between the recording and see how I feel.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's a fantastic, really, it's one of those, this is one of those why I love the idea of mindfulness and meditation. People think it's this really complicated idea. It's not. If you can breathe, you can be mindful, you can meditate. The rest of it, everything else takes practice. Meditation is an exercise the same way that you go to the gym to get stronger. Meditation makes your brain stronger. It's an exercise. It's supposed to be hard. But if you can breathe, you can keep going.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Well, thank you so much, Seth, seriously, for coming on and talking with us. We only have a couple minutes here. I don't know, Elia, if you wanted to say anything, last things to say to Seth.
Well, I want to make sure that all of our listeners, if you guys want to find a way to get connected with Seth or whatever, we just try to remind you guys, check the show notes, check our social media feeds. All that stuff's going to be in there. And his business is, make sure I get this right. This is going to be ironic if I get it wrong. Clarify Wellness.
Yep.
LLC.
It's Clarify Wellness LLC.
Yep.
Perfect.
Clarify Wellness. So if you want to find out more about what Seth's up to, getting involved in that stuff, just go ahead and check it out. Show notes. It'll all be there. We want to make sure you guys are connected.
Awesome.
So Seth, thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. This has been so wonderful.
Thank you for the technique. I'm going to try it right away again.
Absolutely. It's yours. It's yours to share now.
All right, that's all we have for you guys this week. Big thank you to Seth for coming on the show today. What an incredible conversation. And thank you to Sasha as well as Elia for bringing it all together. Now, if you are wanting to keep in touch with Seth, get in touch with Seth, track his work, and always connect with him, check the show notes. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss a single episode. All right, we'll catch you guys next week.